Welcome to number 8 of 24 spine-tingling Christmas Advent ghost stories. This one, The Woman in the Frosted Window. Tonight's story doesn't chase you, it doesn't run, it definitely doesn't scream. It just waits behind one window. On the edge of an old mining town where the hill turns blue in winter and every street slopes slightly downward as if the land itself is tired, stands a boarded-up terraced house known simply as the Frost House. Every winter, no matter how mild December has been, one window always freezes. Not the roof, not the gutters, not the other windows. Just the upstairs left. White, perfectly opaque from the inside. Children were the first to notice her, daring each other to walk past the house in the dark, daring each other to tap the frozen glass, and at certain angles, when the streetlight struck the frost just right, a face appeared. Not clearly, never sharply, but enough. A woman. Wide eyes. Hair pulled back. Hands pressed against the inside of the glass. Watching. Waiting. The kids ran. The adults laughed. Until the adults started seeing her too. Every December, people notice the same details repeating. Breath blooms on the inside of the window. Fingernail arcs traced through the frost. Sometimes a soft, rhythmic tapping. 3 taps. Always 3 taps. Never aggressive, never fast, just patient. People move faster on that side of the street. Dogs refuse to pass the house at night. And taxi drivers, they never ever stop outside of it. And no one ever sees the frost form. It is simply there when you look. The records show the house was last officially occupied in 1962. A woman named Mary Henshaw. Aged 29. Newly married. No children. And her husband worked down the pit. One morning, there was a collapse. 13 men went in. 12 came out. Mary waited at the window every night after that. Neighbours remember her standing behind the glass long after dark, unmoving, coat still on, hands resting against the pane. They say she watched as if he might appear at any second. Then, one winter, she stopped opening the door. Milk bottles stacked. Post gathered. No answer. When they broke in, Mary was found in the upstairs bedroom. The window open. The room frozen solid. The cause of death? Exposure. She had waited too long. The house was sealed, but the window never thawed again. For years, the town believed Mary was waiting for her husband. It kind of made sense. It was tidy. It gave the ghost a romance. It also wasn't true. In the winter of 1984, a teenage paperboy named Daniel slipped on the ice outside the frost house and fell directly beneath the frozen window. As he looked up, dazed, through the blur of his breath, the frost cleared. Just for him. And he saw her properly, not as a grieving widow, but as a terrified woman. Mouth open, not pleading, screaming. Her eyes weren't watching the street. They were watching the room behind her. Daniel ran home and vomited. He never delivered newspapers on that street again. And after that particular winter, the tapping changed. No longer slow, no longer patient, sometimes frantic, sometimes at the dead of night. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps again. Like a coded signal. People assumed Mary was trapped in grief, but if you watched carefully, her gaze never tracked passers-by. She never followed movement. She didn't react to dogs, cars, or even noise. She stared at one single point inside the room, always the same corner. In 2009, a young urban explorer named Leanne broke into the Frost House to film a documentary on local hauntings. The door resisted. The stairs were dust-choked, and the upstairs bedroom was empty. No furniture, no bedding, just a darker stain on the floor where a bed once stood. And beside it, deep scratch marks in the plaster. Not from fingernails, from something trying to get out from behind the wall. Leanne filmed the frost from inside, and for the first time, the breath appeared on the outside of the window, pressing in, not out. Her footage captured one final detail before the battery died. A second set of marks, higher up, as if something taller had once stood behind Mary. The truth surfaced in sealed court documents. Mary did not marry a minor. She married a man who beat her. He forced her to quit work, locked doors, controlled money. The night of the pit collapse was the one night he didn't come home. For 12 days, Mary lived alone, and for the first time since her wedding, she slept without fear. on the 13th night, he returned. Not from the pit, from another woman's house. Drunk. Furious. What happened in the bedroom was never properly recorded. But after that night, Mary never opened the door again. Because she was no longer afraid of waiting. She was afraid of what had come back. Once that truth spread, the frost changed. Now, people swore they saw two shapes in the glass. Mary at the window and something taller behind her. Something that never moved. Never blinked. Never left. Last winter, an elderly woman on oxygen paused outside the house and whispered, "You still watching for help, love?" The frost thinned. Mary's eyes shifted. Just once. From the corner to the street. And the tapping changed again. One slow knock. Then nothing. The next morning, the frost was gone. For the first time in 60 years, the window was clear. The house sold 3 months later. Renovation began. And on the second day of plaster stripping, the builders found a sealed wall behind the bedroom corner. Inside it, a second skeleton. Not Mary's. The frost house has warm windows now, but sometimes on the coldest nights, drivers swear they still see breath on the upstairs glass. Not trapped, not screaming, just watching the street. Finally free to look outward. Some people wait for love. Some people wait for grief to pass. And some wait for danger to finally leave.